In the heart of Lusaka Heights, the city that never truly slept, where motorbikes zipped between honking cars and gospel music competed with Amapiano beats in the open air, there walked, or rather, hobbled, a man everyone knew but no one cared for. They called him Crippled Kwame. He had a leg that dragged like it weighed more than his entire body. His clothes, ripped jeans and an oversized dusty hoodie, hadn't seen soap in months. He pushed a squeaky shopping trolley filled with plastic bottles, newspapers, and an old radio he never turned on. Every day, he appeared outside Eastgate Mall, leaning against the smooth concrete pillars as if he were meant to be there. He'd stretch out his trembling hand toward passing strangers, hoping for a coin, a note, or at least a glance that didn't burn with pity or disgust. But Lusaka Heights was not a city of soft hearts, especially not on Independence Avenue during rush hour. Get out of the way, old man. Ooh, can't you beg somewhere else? See this one, looking like a rotten mop. Teenagers laughed behind their tinted sunglasses. Mothers pulled their children away as if Kwame carried disease. Even the security guards rolled their eyes when they saw him. But what no one knew was that Kwame had a key. A real key, not a metaphor. It was silver, ancient, and tucked inside a beaded leather pouch he wore around his neck, hidden beneath the hoodie. It opened something very real, and very powerful. He wasn't always like this. He hadn't always slept in alleys or eaten stale chips from bins. Kwame had once been a prince, not of fairy tales, but of boardrooms, of legacy, of a fortune bigger than the mole he now begged in front of. But betrayal doesn't knock politely. It crashes through the door. That's what happened 5 years ago when his younger cousin, fueled by greed and foreign investors, hijacked the empire Kwame had built with his father. They'd frozen his accounts, fabricated a scandal, and leaked photos of Kwame's accident, a mysterious fall that shattered his spine and made headline for a week before the world forgot. Ex-CEO Kwame Tembo paralyzed in rumored family feud. Now, all that remained of him was a shadow dragging its leg behind the trolley. Still, every day at exactly 7 p.m., after the streets cooled and the vendors packed up their mangoes and roasted groundnuts, Kwame would vanish. He walked, slowly but with purpose, toward the edge of town, past the fancy flats and the colonial church, to a small wooden bench outside a rundown clinic. There, waiting like a quiet song, was Amina. The sun was scorching above Eastgate Mall, and the scent of roasted corn, car exhaust, and hair relaxer mingled in the air like a strange perfume. Kwame shuffled along the pavement, dragging his bad leg behind him. His trolley wheel squeaked over every bump. He parked himself beside a juice stand with a cardboard sign. Crippled, hungry, forgotten, please help. A pack of teens in crisp school uniforms approached. Eesh, check this guy again, one of them laughed. Bro, are you part of the pavement or what? Or maybe here's a statue. Guys, should we throw coins for good luck? The other jeered, tossing a 50 angry coin just out of Kwame's reach. They burst into laughter. Kwame looked at them, unmoved. Even dust rises when the wind comes, he said quietly. Huh. Baba, speak up with that wisdom of yours, the tallest one mocked, imitating a wise elder. Even dust rises. Please, old man, you're not in a proverb competition. They walked away, still laughing. A woman at a nearby airtime booth gave Kwame a side glance. You just let them talk like that, she asked. I've learned its silence stings more than shouting, Kwame replied. Still, young people are getting too bold these days. Just then, a boda driver pulled up beside Kwame, revving his engine. Oh yeah, cripple, move from the curb. My customer day come now. Kwame didn't move. The man shouted louder. You know they hear English. Old man, ABIUWA and make I push you comet. Try, Kwame said. Calm. Still, Amina's voice called out from the side. Sammy, leave him alone, she shouted. Every day you want to fight someone who can't fight back. The boda driver scowled but revved off. Kwame turned to see her walking toward him with her usual grace, skin the color of ripe plantain, hair wrapped in a green scarf, and a brown cafe apron over her jeans. I brought you something, she said, handing him a brown paper bag. Kwame peeked inside. Fried sweet potatoes and a bottle of water. I didn't ask. I didn't say you did, she interrupted. Eat before it gets cold. He nodded. Thank you. She sat beside him on the pavement, ignoring the judgmental eyes of passers-by. Why do you sit with me, Amina? Because everyone else walks past, she replied, biting into her own potato. Because I see you. Kwame's eyes watered, but he turned away. You don't know who I used to be. I don't need to. You're still someone now. He laughed bitterly. No. I was Kwame Tembo. My name used to open doors. I once had a penthouse overlooking this same street. I gave jobs. I drove a G-Wagon. And now, you push a squeaky trolley and wear a hoodie that smells like 3 governments ago, she said bluntly. He chuckled. You're honest. I'm Zambian. They sat in silence for a moment. You're not angry, she asked. Anger is a fire that eats its own house. Still sounds like you're holding on to something, Amina said. Something deeper. Kwame looked up, his eyes locking with hers. They think I'm nothing, but I'm not done. I didn't fall. I was pushed. Amina leaned in. What if you rise again? He took a deep breath. What if I already am? Amina raised an eyebrow. What's that supposed to mean? But Kwame only smiled. At that moment, a large black SUV rolled past them, windows tinted, chrome shining. Kwame followed it with his eyes, and Amina caught the flicker of recognition on his face. You know the owner? No, he said, but soon they'll know me. Before he was a street beggar, Kwame Tembo was one of Lusaka's youngest CEOs, heir to the Tembo Group, a family business turned billion kwacha empire. Their company had fingers in everything, real estate, agriculture, fintech, logistics, you name it. Their HQ was a 20-story glass tower called Tembo House, and at the very top was Kwame's office, all mahogany, chrome, and power. Kwame, his father, Chief Emmanuel Tembo, had once said, standing by the office window, this city can only be built by those who remember the village. Kwame had nodded. I won't forget, Papa. You lead with your heart. Son, that's dangerous, but it's also what makes you better than the rest. But not everyone wanted better. Some wanted control. The boardroom had been packed that day. His cousin Tariq sat at the end of the long glass table, slicking a tailored gray suit, hands folded like a preacher about to lie. Next to him were 2 men Kwame didn't trust, foreign investors with vague credentials and shock smiles. Kwame entered, confident, only to be greeted with silence and forced smiles. What's going on? He asked. Tariq stood. It's a vote. Kwame, the board has concerns about your leadership, concerns about your mental health and judgment. Kwame laughed. Is this a joke? Your accident, your recent absences, your charity spending without clearance. The company needs stability. You're calling an attempted murder an accident? Do you have proof someone pushed you down that staircase? Tariq asked coolly. Kwame's smile disappeared. You snake. No insults, cousin. This is business. You had your chance. It's my time now. One of the investors slid a folder across the table. You will be handsomely compensated. Walk away quietly, and you will keep your dignity. Kwame didn't touch the folder. You think you're burying me, he said, rising slowly, his cane clicking against the floor. But I'm a seed. That night, Kwame packed what little he had. His bank accounts, frozen. His penthouse, gone. His name, smeared across headlines. A once great Tembo heir, crippled by tragedy and delusion. He had only one friend left, Mama Thandi, the family's housekeeper who had helped raise him. You can stay here, she said, pressing a warm hand to his back. No, Mama, if I stay, they'll find me. I need to disappear. Let them believe they won. But what will you do? Kwame smiled faintly. Watch, learn, wait. And after that, I'll rise. Years passed. The city changed. But so did Kwame. He limped through the cracks of Lusaka, watching how people treated the forgotten. He saw which faces offered coins with shame, and which ones looked away without a blink. He heard what people said when they thought he couldn't understand. And he listened. He started rebuilding from the shadows. Amina didn't know, but every time she handed him food, he was already feeding others, funding orphanages under fake names, sending anonymous donations to hospitals, quietly buying up property around Eastgate Mall using shell companies. The beggar with the squeaky trolley was now worth more than before. But revenge wasn't his goal. Restoration was. One evening, Kwame visited a small office on the 12th floor of a quiet building near Kalingalinga. The receptionist looked up, startled. Sir, are you in the right place? Kwame smiled and lifted his hoodie slightly, revealing a gold-plated access card. The woman blinked. I didn't know you were. It's okay, he said softly. Keep it that way. Inside the glass-walled office, 3 young professionals waited. They rose as Kwame entered. Boss, said the woman in the middle, Phase 1 is complete. All titles secured. Shell accounts ready. Good. He nodded. What's next? Kwame looked out the window at the city lights below. We go back, he said, to where they left me, to where they laughed. And what do we do when we get there? The young man asked. Kwame smiled. We pull up and we shine. It was a Wednesday. Clouds hung low over Lusaka Heights like secrets waiting to spill. Kwame sat on his usual bench outside the old dental clinic, fiddling with a broken piece of wire. The city hummed with noise, bodas buzzing, gospel street preachers shouting, vendors slapping their thighs to draw attention. Then came that voice. Soft, low, confident. You forgot your bottle again. He didn't even look up. You must enjoy pretending I'm helpless. Amina chuckled. No, I just know when someone's too stubborn to admit they need help. She handed him a cold bottle of water and a samosa wrapped in Soviet paper. Kwame finally looked up. Her hair was in small braids now, tied back with a green ribbon. Her apron had flour on it. You always bring food. You always refuse to say thank you. He cracked a smile. Thank you. A pause. I like this version of you better, she said. Which version? The one who smiles. Kwame looked away. Smiling doesn't fix bones. No, she said gently, but it softens hearts. They sat in silence for a few moments, the city flowing around them like a river. Tell me, she said suddenly, what's your real name? Kwame hesitated. Why do you think this isn't my real name? She raised an eyebrow. Because you walk like a man carrying something heavy, but your words feel like they came from a library built long before me. He laughed. I was born Kwame Tembo, he said finally, named after my grandfather. I was the first son of a chief, but now I'm the city's favorite ghost. Amina leaned in, resting her arms on her knees. You're not a ghost. Ghosts don't bleed, or eat samosas. He nodded, his voice lower now. You know, back when I still had everything, I used to think helping people meant building schools and hospitals. I thought big. And now, I've learned the power of small. A bottle of water, a bag of chips, a smile. You've helped me more than any doctor ever could. Amina looked down, then back at him. You want the truth, Kwame? Go on. You scare me. He blinked. Why? Because I've met rich men. I've met poor men. But I've never met a man who walks like a ghost but speaks like a king. Kwame turned his head slowly toward her. Maybe I'm both. Their eyes locked. There was something electric in the stillness. Just then, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it and stood quickly. Breaks over. My manager will kill me. Kwame reached for his hoodie pocket. Wait! He pulled out a small envelope, slightly creased, sealed with a gold sticker. What's this? She asked. Something I've been meaning to give you. She opened it. Inside was a voucher, printed in elegant font. Full culinary scholarship, Tamla Culinary School of Africa. Her hand trembled. I don't understand. You once said you dream of being a chef. A real one. In a real kitchen. Kwame, this costs... She shook her head. He smiled. I told you. I was somebody. And I still am. Tears welled in her eyes. I can't accept this. You already have. Before she could respond, a sleek black Lexus pulled up to the curb beside them. The window lowered slightly. A voice called, "Sir, we're ready for the 5 o'clock." Kwame turned to Amina. "Thank you for seeing me before the world did." And with that, he stood up, slowly, his limp still there but somehow stronger. Amina watched, frozen, as he entered the car and it glided off like a shadow swallowed by dusk. She stood alone on the sidewalk, wind brushing her braids across her face, heart pounding in her chest. Who are you really, Kwame Tembo? Inside Tower 7, a minimalist luxury high-rise in Lusaka's financial district, a private elevator opened with a soft chime. A woman in a navy power suit looked up from her desk as Kwame stepped out. She stood immediately. "Mr. Tembo, sir, they are waiting for you upstairs." Kwame nodded, pulling off his hoodie and handing it to her. Gone was the street beggar. He wore a charcoal gray suit, tailored to perfection, clean black loafers, no tie, still walked with a limp, but it was no longer weakness. It was a signature. Upstairs, in a sleek glass conference room, a group of young men and women in smart business attire stood as he entered. "Good evening, family," Kwame greeted. "Good evening, Mr. T," they chorused. His voice was steady now, sharp, like steel wrapped in velvet. "How's the chessboard?" Maya, the sharp-eyed woman who led the team, stepped forward. "Phase 1, done. We now hold 61% of the real estate surrounding Eastgate Mall under Shell Trusts, including the vendor zone, car park, and that abandoned bus terminal." Kwame smiled. "And the media wing?" "Phase 2 in progress," replied Joel, the communications lead. "We've secured equity in 4 local stations, and our social accounts are seeded. Hashtag rollout begins next week, the Forgotten Rise." He nodded. "And Tembo Group?" Maya hesitated. "They are starting to notice movement. Say, your cousin Tariq thinks it's foreign investors trying to destabilize him." Kwame's smile didn't fade. "Let him believe that a little longer. Pride is the last drink a fool takes before drowning." A brief silence. Then Maya leaned in. "So, forgive me for asking, but why now?" Kwame turned toward the glass, gazing out over Lusaka's skyline. The sun had just begun to set, painting the buildings in fire and shadow. "Because they've forgotten who I am," he said softly, "and because I never forgot who I was." He turned back to face them. "Tariq stole my father's company, smeared my name, and tried to erase me. I let him. I needed the silence. I needed the darkness to grow. And now?" Joel asked. "Now," he said, picking up a small remote. The large screen behind him lit up. A mock-up of a grand event flyer. "Reclaiming Legacy, the Kwame Tembo Foundation Launch Gala. Venue, Eastgate Grand Hall. Date, Saturday. Dress code, Royal Heritage." Maya stared at it, eyes wide. "You're announcing yourself." Kwame nodded slowly. "To the very people who stepped over me, who mocked me, who turned away." His voice was calm, but underneath, it rumbled like thunder. 3 days later, in the newsroom of ZNBC Africa, producer Ruben barged into the control room. "Who approved this invite?" he barked. His assistant, barely keeping up, stammered. "It came with a gold seal and a donation. Very generous. For community grants." Ruben flipped open the black envelope. "The Kwame Tembo Foundation? Is this some kind of prank?" The assistant glanced at the RSVP list. "So, the president is attending." Back at Eastgate Mall, Amina finished her shift early. She passed by the bench. No Kwame, no trolley, just a small paper bag with her name on it. Inside was a black envelope, sealed in gold, and a single note. "Wear green. You've always looked good in royalty." K. That night, as the city hummed with excitement over the mysterious Tembo Gala, a black luxury Maybach glided quietly into a private garage beneath Eastgate Grand Hall. Security saluted. Maya opened the back door. Kwame stepped out, cane in hand, dressed in a custom agbada, dark emerald, embroidered with golden lions, a beaded bracelet on his wrist. His posture tall. It had begun. Eastgate Grand Hall shimmered like a palace carved from gold. Cameras flashed. Traditional drums pounded softly in the background. The entrance was lit with golden lights, and a red carpet stretched past a row of high-end vehicles. Guests in Ankara suits, velvet gowns, and Kent-patterned tuxedos mingled under chandeliers. Among the crowd stood the mockers. Chumba, the teenager who once threw coins at Kwame, now in a cheap suit borrowed from his cousin, looked around nervously. "Bro, are you sure this gala is free entry?" he whispered. "I told you," his friend said. "Social media said it's open to the public. It's some new billionaire dude launching charity." Further back, the boda driver, Sammy, leaned against a pillar in his faded yellow vest, chewing gum. Tembo, that name sound familiar, he muttered. Suddenly, the music changed. A hush rolled across the crowd like a wave. A line of security parted the red carpet. Then came the car. A jet-black Maybach S680 glided in, its chrome grille catching every light like a crown. It came to a slow, silent stop at the entrance. The driver stepped out and opened the back door. Out came Kwame. He stepped onto the red carpet, leaning slightly on his polished wooden cane. Dressed in a custom emerald green agbada embroidered with golden thread, his presence was silent power. His limp was still there, but now it looked like a warrior's scar, not a weakness. Gasps rippled through the crowd. "Wait, is that?" "No way. That can't be the crippled guy from the mall." "Yo, that's the same dude who begged me for chips last week." Sammy's gum fell from his mouth. "Baba God." Amina stood near the press banner, wearing a flowing green dress, stunned. Kwame's eyes found his across the crowd. He gave a soft nod. She smiled, blinking tears. From the shadows, Tariq Tembo, standing beside a ZNBC reporter, froze. "What the hell?" he muttered. No, this isn't possible." Inside the hole, gold-lit banners read, "The Kwame Tembo Foundation, restoring dignity, reclaiming legacy." Kwame took the MIC at the front of the grand stage, cameras and live streams rolling. He looked out at the same city that once walked past him as if he were trash. And he spoke. "5 years ago, I disappeared. They said I was finished. Broken. Erased. I became invisible so I could see who truly saw me. I became weak so I could understand the strength of the forgotten. I walked with nothing so I could build something from the ground up. Today, I return not just as a man, but as a mirror, a reflection of how we treat the least among us. Some of you fed me. Others spat on me. But I saw it all. To the security guard who called me Bwana, even when I was in rags, your daughter's tuition is now covered. To the woman who gave me hot tea when I had none, you now own the land your house sits on. And to those who mocked me, look around. I now own the land beneath your feet. ****. The crowd gasped. Kwame smiled, calm and clear. "This is not revenge. This is remembrance. We are all only one fall away from becoming the thing we laugh at. Let this city never forget its own humanity again." Thunderous applause. Some stood. Some cried. Others couldn't move. Tariq disappeared quietly into the shadows, his power finally shattered. Outside, the same teenage mockers scrambled for selfies. Inside, Amina walked up to Kwame after the crowd cleared. "You did it," she said. "No," he replied. "We did." She smirked. "What now, Mr. Tembo?" He looked around the hall, at the people, the lights, the legacy. "Now, we build. For real this time." The morning after the gala, Lusaka Heights woke up buzzing. Newspapers ran headlines like, "The Beggar Billionaire, Kwame Tembo's Epic Return." From rags to royalty, how a broken man reclaimed his legacy. But while the city gossiped, snapped photos, and speculated about how he did it, Kwame sat quietly under a jacaranda tree across from Eastgate Mall. No limo, no cameras, just him, a wooden bench, and a lukewarm bottle of water. He wore a simple kaftan, and his cane leaned against the bench. His face looked lighter now, as if something heavy had finally been laid to rest. Then came the sound of cheap sneakers dragging across concrete. Kwame looked up. It was Chumba, the same teenager who once tossed a coin just out of his reach. now dressed in a cheap school sweater and torn trousers, face full of nervous sweat. He paused a few steps away. "Sir." Kwame said nothing, just watched him. I just wanted to say I'm sorry." Kwame tilted his head. For how I treated you. That day, outside this mall. I didn't know." "You didn't need to know," Kwame replied softly. "You needed to see." Chumba swallowed hard. "I was stupid. My friends laugh with you. Yes, I remember." The boy lowered his head. "I came to ask for a second chance." Kwame studied him. "Not for money." Chumba shook his head quickly. "No, sir, just a chance. I want to be better. I want to matter, like you." Kwame nodded slowly. "Sit." The boy obeyed. "You know what I learned out here, Chumba?" "No, sir." "That people don't change when they see power. They change when they feel seen, when they're reminded of who they could be." Kwame reached into his side bag and handed Chumba a folded brochure. It read, "Tembo Youth Mentorship Program. Become more than what the world expects." Chumba stared at it like it was made of gold. "This is for me." "Yes, for you, and for every version of you out there waiting to be noticed." Chumba's voice cracked. "Thank you. I swear, I won't mess this up." Kwame placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "You already did. That's how we learn." Later that day, Kwame walked down Cairo Road with Amina, both dressed in casual wear, blending in like old friends. "So you're a hero now," she teased. Kwame chuckled. "Heroes wear capes. I wore a hoodie with holes." They walked past a mural being painted by local artists. It depicted a man in rags on one side, a regal figure with a staff on the other. Between them, a quote, "You never know who walks among you until you stop looking away." Amina stopped. "That's you." Kwame smiled. "That's all of us." A breeze passed through the street, rustling leaves and wrappers. The city bustled on, but something about the world felt softer now, more aware. That night, Kwame sat alone on his balcony overlooking Lusaka Heights. He poured himself a cup of tea, closed his eyes, and whispered to the stars, "Baba, I kept your name. I lost it, found it, and now I give it to others. Let this be our real legacy. Not just towers or titles, but hearts restored." He looked out into the dark, his cane resting beside him, and for the first time in years, he didn't feel broken. And so the city that once laughed at a crippled beggar came to bow before the man they almost erased. In every crowd is a soul the world has thrown away, and in every outcast may live a king. Never forget, what you mock today might be the hand that feeds you tomorrow.